Everybody, and very welcome. And again, Chris, thanks for a very warm welcome. And I look forward to spending the next hour or so with all you folks going through what I've done with John Deere. And then more importantly, I want to give you all an update on the company itself, where we are, where we're coming from, what we're doing, and what we're going to bring to the market in the future. Some exciting projects and developments, especially around technology, that I can share with all you folks this afternoon. So without further ado, the first thing, the agenda. So briefly, what I thought I would do is give maybe 5-10 minutes an overview of where I've come from, my career with John Deere from start to current day. Then I'm going to give you an introduction into John Deere itself, the size of the company, just to give you an overview of the actual company, because a lot of people know us for the ag side of the business, but there's so much more to John Deere than just agricultural equipment. Then I want to talk about solutions overview, because to me, it's all about solutions and how we can meet our customers' needs with offering them solutions to their challenges, to their problems. So I want to give an overview of some of our solutions, just a snapshot. Then I want to talk about changing the game, how we at John Deere are looking to the future, looking at the challenges, and how we are changing the game against the competition so that we win our customers' business, continue to retain that business, and ultimately gain market share and grow our business. So I'll look at the challenges around that, and then I'll also finish up by looking at the solutions that we're going to bring to the marketplace. And then finally, if we have any questions, what I would suggest you do is during the course of the next hour, just maybe type the questions in the message box. Chris has kindly agreed to collate all those questions, and if we've time at the end, I'll answer any of those questions or all of those questions if I can before we finish up this afternoon. So first of all, I just want to talk about Brian Darcy and an overview of me. So and how do I fit into John Deere? And I guess I've been very lucky, if I'm honest. Born to a small dairy farm in the west of Ireland, County Galway. I've got 3 brothers and 1 sister. I always knew I was interested in agriculture and especially machinery, and I always knew that I wanted to work for what I class at the time, back in the late 80s, early 90s, the top 3 manufacturers, and they would be John Deere, C&H and AGCO. Those to me were the 3 big ones, and I always wanted to work for those. So I always had a love of equipment and agriculture in general. My other siblings weren't really too bothered or too interested, so I seemed to get all the work, and that really took off when I went to college in IT Tralee. And first of all, I did my certificate in agricultural engineering. Then I did my diploma, which I really enjoyed. So that was year 3. The degree wasn't in at that stage, so I actually went and took a year or 2 out. I worked for McHale Farm Machinery, which is owned by and ran by Porrick and Martin McHale, who own, of course, McHale Engineering. They've got a dealership in Kilmaine in County Mayo. So I worked in the workshop there for a couple of months. Then I went into the parts side of the business, or the aftermarket side for McHale Farm Machinery. Really, really enjoyed that. Very fond memories working there, and gained an awful lot of experience. And then after that, I took a year out and traveled to Australia, worked in the cotton harvest in Australia, which was very, very different. You never get that experience in Ireland. And then I did the corn harvest. So myself and a good friend of mine, Barry O'Driscoll, we drove 2 case axial flow 2388s from South Australia all the way up to North Australia. And when we got to the top, turned around and harvested the corn all the way down. That was fantastic, hard work and long days and long nights even, but learned a lot and gained a lot of experience along the way. Then when I came back from Australia, the degree had just come in for agricultural engineering management. So I signed up for that. Actually, that was the very first year I came in, where 10 of us did the degree. And for me, that was absolutely fantastic. Great lectures, great content. And that's what really solidified and drove me on to where I am today. If I think of all the good experiences, the one-on-one interaction with lecturers in Tralee, the experience, the knowledge that we gain there, absolutely fantastic. And I'm a big fan of IT Tralee, and any chance I get, I always try and fly the flag, because for me, it was just brilliant. And if I look at other colleagues like Finbar Collins, for example, who's done the same course as me to a diploma level, he's done very, very well as well. And we put it down to what we learned in Tralee and the lectures we had and the friends we made. So great experience. So after college, I, like everyone at that age, I did up my CV. I was always looking for jobs, and a job came up with IAM in Kilkenny in the Hebron Industrial Estate, IAM in Cavernaland, and I applied for that and was lucky enough to get it. So I was in charge of aftermarket effectively for the Deutz and IAM brands, Stroutman, as well as Cavernaland for the whole island of Ireland. So I did that for 9 months. Really enjoyed it. Got great experience there again, traveling all over Ireland. But in the meantime, I'd be looking at the Farmers Journal, I'd be looking at Farmers Weekly, all the ag publications to see what jobs are going out there. And actually a job came up for CNH, but the interview was in Basildon, so in Essex, in South London. So it was more of a technical job than sales and marketing, but they were paying for the interview, they were paying for the flight. So I said, hey, if I don't even get it, it'll be good experience. So flew across, did the interview, thought I did okay, but they turned me down. I said I didn't have the necessary technical skills, which they were probably right, to be fair. And then a couple of months later, a job came up with John Deere in the UK, and again they were paying the airfare, they were paying all the costs. So I jumped on a plane, went over to Nottingham, did the interview in early 2007, and 2 weeks later they rang me back and offered me the position of demonstrator for large tractors for the UK and Ireland. So effectively, they gave me the newest and greatest 8 and 9,000 series tractors, and they gave me a truck driver, and we drove a truck and Jeep all over the UK and Ireland, and I was demonstrating those tractors to customers and dealers for about 9 months to a year with John Deere. So that was from 2007 to 2008. Then I got promoted to what at the time was called crop system specialist. That's basically looking after combines, harvesting equipment, sprayers, and our precision guidance technology at the time for all of Southern England. I did that job for 6 months, and then I got promoted to what's called territory manager. So I got Wales and the West Midlands was my territory. And at that time, that territory was settling about 50 million pounds worth of equipment on an average year. And that was still on the ag side of the business. So I looked after everything from tractors to combines to foragers, balers, mowers, sprayers, precision guidance, anything ag that we made, I was responsible for that area. Did that for 5 years, really, really good experience, learned a lot along the way, lots of good interactions with customers, with dealers, suppliers. And then I took the big step in 2014, and I went from the ag side of the business to the golf and turf side of the business, which is a completely different part of the business, just like night and day, black and white, completely different. And very tough at the start, but really, really enjoyed it. So I was what's called a strategic and key account manager for the UK and Ireland for golf and turf. So that really means going to the big golf courses, the big municipalities, the big councils, and selling and building relationships, growing relationships, and trying to grow market share and sales with those big customers. Absolutely fantastic experience. And so I was really working with the biggest of the biggest customers that we have. And, I've been on deals where I've been working on a deal for 2.5 years, and one particular deal, 2.5 years. Absolutely fascinating stuff, great insights. And it's in that job where I really started to meet CEOs, general managers, dealer principals, all those types of folks, the highest in the business. So really enjoy that, and that was great experience. And also the company really enjoyed it because it showed the company that I could diversify my skill set. So I wasn't just ag, I now was golf and turf and ag as well, which made a big difference. And at the time, for all the employees in the UK branch, there was only about 6 or 7 people that had experience in both ag and golf and turf. So that means for other opportunities going forwards, I would have a good shot. So I did that position for 4.5 years. As I said, really enjoyed it. And then the chance came along to move to Germany, to work in the factory, to work on the factory side of the business. to understand how we bring in new products to market, how we develop them, how we test them, how we bring them to the customers for what we call limited production testing, get their feedback, make changes, work very closely with suppliers, with pricing, with marketing. So completely away from sales, but more on how you develop a product, bring it to market, make sure we're actually bringing the right value add features to a product, to market, and then to sell it, and to put my name on a piece of sheet to say, we will sell this X amount of these products in the coming years. So I learned a lot about that, learned a lot on the factory side. I did that for a year, really good experience. And then I got promoted to division sales manager for golf and turf for the UK, Ireland, Benelux, so that's Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, and then all of the Nordics, so Iceland, Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark on the golf and turf side. So again, really, really good experience. So at this stage, I've got ag experience, I've got turf experience, and now I've got factory experience. So I'm back onto sales again. I really enjoy that because, of course, now I'm working with dealer principals and sales managers from Belgium, from the Netherlands, from Sweden. You're working with different cultures, a very diverse set of people, expectations, challenges, especially around currency, around weather, around cultures. So really learned a lot there. And I did that for exactly a year. When last November, I got the tap on the shoulder to say they'd like me to come back to run the UK and Ireland from an ag perspective. So they put me in charge of the island of Ireland, all of Scotland, Northern England, and Wales. And then just recently, I've also been appointed director as well of the business for the UK and Ireland. So there's 3 directors, and I'm one of them that has overall responsibility for all the business across the UK and Ireland. That's really good, but of course it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, so not just on sales and marketing, but on HR, on health and safety, on the financials, on financial audits, on training, customer support. So we've got overall responsibility to run that side of the business, or all that business. And in fact, just last Wednesday, we had our mid-year review, where leadership from the US and Europe spends a full 5 hours grilling us on our performance for the first 6 months of the year. So we just did that last Wednesday. So that was kept me on my toes and kept me busy. And here I am. So that's where I've been. I wouldn't say, for me, most of it is about taking the opportunities when they arose. It's about being able to diversify my talents, to give anything a go, to be willing to take on different opportunities, even sometimes if they didn't suit, if I didn't like them. But it's how you challenge yourself and to try and learn something new. So I think I'm on eight positions in 14 years, different positions, and I think I've moved house now about 9 times in those 14 years, which can get a bit taxing. But I'm getting the rewards as well. I've got great experience. They've put me in charge of the UK and Ireland. They're giving me direction on that. So yeah, really exciting times. And I guess the one thing I would say about John Deere, and probably most manufacturers, is if you're willing to work hard and put the effort in, you can get up to the companies very, very fast, and you can have very diversified jobs and very enjoyable jobs in these different companies, not just John Deere, but AGCO, New Holland, Claas, Kverneland, Kubota, even, whatever they may be. And here I am. So that's from 2007 till 2021. That's my career in a nutshell. So I don't know if you have any questions on that, Chris, or will I continue to move on?
There was one question there as to whereabouts in Galway do you hail from?
Me, I'm from just outside of Hetford, a small village called Carnacabe outside of Hetford. So it's North Galway. It's just nearly on the border with Mayo. But yeah, Hetford, back near Lough Corrib in County Galway.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so you probably hear it on Today FM or on the news out the Hetford Road. Well, go out that road and you'll find me.
Mighty stuff.
So next, quickly, because we're tight for time, I'll just talk a bit about John Deere in an introduction. So 1837, founded by a blacksmith, obviously named John Deere. So we're actually one of the fifth oldest continuously operated companies in the United States. So you know, a long history, a long legacy. And I guess, you know, he became the man he is today because he solved the problem and he was innovative. And back in those days, a lot of manufacturers made their plow moldboards from cast iron, and the problem with sticky soil in the Midwest was that it would stick to the moldboard, it wouldn't come off. And basically what John Deere came up with was a self-scarring plow, so that as he worked the plow through the soil, it cleaned itself and stopped, made it much more efficient, much more productive. And it stops that stop-start phenomenon where people would have to stop, clean the plow, and then go another couple of feet. And basically, that's where he made a big impact and started to sell those plows. And actually, it's legend has it that it was actually Liverpudlian steel that was. It was a saw blade that he used as his first one to shine up to make his first plow. But that's where he came from. Then, if I talk quickly about the company, you know, today 70,000 employees in just over 70 countries all over the world. And I've been to a lot of these countries. You know, I've been to all over North America with Deere. I've been all over Europe, been to India, Turkey, Australia, New Zealand. And what I would say is I have developed relationships, and some of my best friends are colleagues at John Deere. And you know, when you work for a big global multinational, you work with people from all over the world. So I have English, Polish, German, Indian, Turkish, North American, Mexican, Brazilian, Italian. Just worked with all those folks, and you get a real understanding for the different cultures, how different cultures operate, how different people operate in the different time zones. So that's great experience too. And this is just a snapshot of some of the locations that we have in 70 countries. Now, these are marketing, these are sales, and these are production facilities as well. So you can see we make products in basically every location except for the North and South Pole. Other than that, every continent is marked with a John Deere facility or location. And I would have been to a lot of those in my time, both ag and turf, and from the factory level too. So very we're spread out all over the world. So solutions overview. I just quickly want to talk about this. So you know, nearly 100 distinct lines of equipment. So when everybody thinks of John Deere, they normally just think of the green and yellow tractors and maybe combine harvesters. That's the most thing we're recognized for, and rightly so, I guess. But we have over 100 different distinct lines of equipment that we make today. When I say distinct lines, so a tractor, be it a 25 horsepower tractor to a 620 horsepower tractor, is one line. Combines is another line. Forestry equipment, construction equipment, dozers, diggers, dumpers, graders, all that kind of stuff is a different line. So 100 different lines. We make a lot of different products for a lot of different marketplaces. And I guess, as I said earlier, you know, this tractor here, which is exactly the same as this one, which is the prize we're going to be offering later on. This is the iconic green and yellow machines that everybody knows and loves and sees around the world or on a daily basis. But if I'm honest, we're you know, tractors is our bread and butter. That's where we've really come to the fore. But you know, we make and we do so much more than products. So I would say one of our key added value initiatives or products that we make is our precision agriculture, you know, our precision guidance technologies and what we make there. And we are the leading manufacturer of precision guidance products right across the globe, bar none. So, you know, it's big business, and I'll go into it in more detail in a couple of moments what we can offer the marketplace. But for some other industries, you mightn't believe that we're in, but we actually have a very strong market share. So road building. So we bought a company about 5 years ago called Wirtgen for about 5.5 billion cash. And they've got about a 95% market share in global road building right across the world. So very good organization, great business, 95% market share. We basically own the business. So if there's a road being built anywhere in the world, it's been built by a John Deere machine. That's and we own Wirtgen, and that's another string to a bow. So you know, maybe in a couple of years I could be working for that business on the road building side or the road equipment side of the business. So that's been a really, really important and strategic move for us, because we've noticed in years gone past where ag and turf are very cyclical, the businesses, they go up and down and peaks and troughs. Road building is pretty consistent. And if there's one thing we all know you need, it's roads, and you need connectivity. And we bought Vertkin as a way of kind of softening out those peaks and troughs to make sure that our financials are a bit more consistent every year going forward. So that's just one example. Another example is construction equipment. So, you know, industry leading in construction equipment. We've been making these machines for years. We actually have a marketing agreement. So you will see John Deere construction equipment being marketed in North America, South America, but you won't see it in Europe. And the reason for that is we've a marketing agreement with Hitachi. So Hitachi don't go near North America, and we don't go near Europe when it comes to our construction equipment. But you know, we have a lot of technology in these machines. A lot of them are hybrid machines as well, which is very, very important for us, especially with all the focus that's on environment at the moment and going forwards. Another one you might be aware of, forestry equipment, #1 globally. So we have the largest market share of forestry equipment that's sold right across the globe. You'll see these, we've actually got a division and a branch in Wicklow in Ireland that looks after Ireland. We have another one in Carlisle in Northern England. We've got big factory in Tampere in southern Finland. And then we've got some factories in North America to service the Brazilian, South American, Canadian, North American forestry industries. So that's big business for us as well, is forestry equipment and those products that we make there. And actually that header you can see on the front of that machine there, that's actually made in New Zealand, in the South Island in New Zealand. And that header alone is about $150,000 just for that head, for taking the tree, cutting it, stripping it, and placing it in a heap. So yeah, it's a big technology there. Moving quickly on, you know, so I would say we build engines, not just for our own products, but, you know, for other equipment manufacturers or OEMs. So actually some of our competition buy John Deere engines. And then we also supply engines into places that you probably wouldn't think of. So into marine, a lot of power boats and US military, US Coast Guard, places like that use John Deere engines in their products. We sell them into construction, but also into power generators as well. So it's big business for us. And a lot of our engines for Europe are made in our Saran factory in France, which is just, of course, outside Paris. But the thing about an engine factory is it's all about volume. You need volume. You need to keep the factory running. You need to keep it at full capacity to be financially efficient. So that's why we sell engines, not just to our own products, but to other manufacturers and to other industries around the world like that. Another one which is really close to my heart is the golf and turf equipment. Big business for us. We would be #1 in the world for golf and turf equipment. So we sell it to some of the biggest golf courses around the world. I did a lot of work in 5 years in strategic and key accounts with the golf and turf side of the business. Been to the factory on numerous occasions. So our factory for golf and turf is in North Carolina, Raleigh in North Carolina. And then we also have factories outside of North Carolina for ride-on lawnmowers. Actually, 1 in 3 ride-on lawnmowers in the US is a John Deere ride-on lawnmower. Very popular, great product for us. We sell a lot in the UK, in Ireland, and in continental Europe. But yeah, really big business for us. So we service a lot of the main open venue. Actually, we've got 60% market share for the open venues for the golf courses in the UK and Ireland. And we also service a lot of the bigger golf courses in North America. Japan, golf is very big in Japan. Japan is actually the 3rd largest industry for golf equipment in the world after North America and the UK. So that's a very interesting business. And then finally, we have our own bank. We've got John Deere Financial. So we have, actually, a lot of people don't know this, we have our own bank, and that's very important for us. So we can help not just sell the product, but we actually use the bank not to make a profit, but to help support the sale of product to our dealers and to our customers. And that's really, really important to us. And I would say where John Deere did very well was in the Great Depression, when farmers lost effectively everything and they couldn't pay their money back. John Deere said, look, don't worry about it. Take as long as you need. Things are bad at the moment. We won't repossess your equipment. Keep your equipment and pay it back when you can. And that would have earned a lot of respect for a couple of generations of farmers, especially in North America, with their business. And that's why we've such high market share as it stands today, is because of our loyalty when things got tough. We did something very, very similar for COVID. We put in what's called pause payments for a lot of customers that were struggling on account of COVID, or they lost jobs, especially in the health and leisure side of the business, especially around golf courses and places like that, where golf courses were closed, so they weren't getting the sales receipts coming in, so they couldn't pay for figures. We put a pause payment at no cost to our customers to help them get out of that sticky wicket. So John Deere Financial is very, very important to us. It's a big lever we can use and we can pull to help drive sustainable business going forwards. So that's where we are. That's just a quick overview on the company. But what I want to talk about next is as I said earlier, most people think of John Deere. They think of just tractor manufacturer, but what I want you to understand is that we are much, much more than that. And we are now what we would call a disruptive organization or influence, and we're really changing the game. So instead of just coming out with tractors with shiny new bonnets, we have really upped our game. Spent a lot of money on R&D, and this is a prime example. This machine. So in the past, this would have been an all-wheel tractor, and now it's tracks, and we're actually seeing, because it's tracked and high horsepower, that machine will go where most wheel tractors won't go. It's much more efficient, much more productive, gets through the soil, especially in wet and slippery conditions, much, much easier. It actually does less damage to the soil because it literally floats along the top as opposed to digging in, and it also gets the power down to the ground. So that's been a massive success for us, and we've really turned the dial on that type of product and that type of innovation and brought it to market. And our customers love it. They just absolutely rave. If you go on any of the forums and put in 8RX, it's just a fantastic machine. And that's just one key example of where we've disrupted the tractor market and come out with something completely different. That's unique, that no one else can really challenge us on. But probably the biggest disruptive innovation of all may be precision farming. And if I look at the next generation of smart agricultural technology and equipment, it's not just about the hard iron, but it's about how we get the best out of that technology and that iron and make sure we're as efficient and productive as we possibly can be. And with our precision guidance technology, we're not just measuring the width of the machine up and down. We're gathering all the different data points from that machine. So where is the soil fertile? Where is it productive? Where is it less productive? Where do we need to add in more nitrogen or fertilizer or less, as the case may be? Where do we need to spray more crops or spray less? Or where are we spraying too much? All that kind of good stuff, grain quality. And that's one side of it. The other side of it, of course, is data management. How do you manage all that data, and how do you make it effective and useful? Because at the moment, there's a load of data. There's terabytes and gigabytes and all masses of data, but a lot of people don't know what to do with it, or how to utilize and get the most out of that data. And that's what we're trying to do at the moment, is to make sure that any data that we can get, we can use effectively to make farmers more productive, more efficient, and ultimately more profitable going forwards. So one example would be self-driving equipment. If you don't have to look at where you're going, but you can look at the equipment that's working behind you or in front of you, you can make sure that equipment is working to the max, that you're getting full value out of that product or that machinery working behind you. And so coulters aren't blocked, or discs aren't blocked, or seed isn't blocked going into the ground, or that tines are being utilized. It's all about making sure that all these 1% and 2% and 3%, we're adding them all up to make sure we're getting 100% efficiency and productivity. And that's really important. And it's all about precision and unimaginable accuracy. And I mean unimaginable accuracy. It's really important that we are truly precision farming and getting the best and the most out of our equipment, because it's, you know, it's I would say it's good value equipment, but it costs a lot of money, and we need to make sure that our farmers are getting the most out of it. And some examples of that would be with spraying. So, you know, this is a classic example where you've got 4 or 5 nozzles, and depending on the crop you're spraying, you can easily turn over the nozzle. So you've got a different spray pattern, you've got a different spray amount coming out, volume. You know, if today if farmers want to spray herbicides on crops, they have to spray not just on the weeds, but also on the crops themselves. And that's a lot of waste. That's a lot of waste of herbicide, which costs ultimately farmers money. But we believe with our innovations, customers can use less fuel, and they can plant seeds and apply fertilizer and herbicide with almost unimaginable accuracy. And I'll give you an example here. So here we've developed a system where this uses high-speed photography and artificial intelligence to identify the weeds. This will actually allow the farmer to spray herbicides only on the weeds and not on the plant or the cotton itself. And that can actually reduce herbicide application by up to 95%. So this is targeted precision spraying just on the weeds and not on the crop itself. And this is a game changer for us. And this is really, really big business. And we're selling a lot of product on the back of this. And then, of course, we measure all the data coming back from this information as we go forward. This is just another example of a machine where you can see it's literally just spraying where the weed is and not where the crops are. That's really important. And ultimately, where we want to get to is here. So
Hi, Brian. Could I just interject there? Is it possible that we can see some visuals of those? And while you're pulling the visuals up, we don't seem to see your slides here.
Oh, I apologize. I don't know. Did you see any slides at all?
No, but I didn't want to interrupt because I wasn't too sure what your plan of action was, but now we can see everything. So
this was 1837 self-scouring plow. This was real innovation for us. 70,000 employees all over the world. As I said, locations in 70 countries. I've been to most of them, or been to a lot of them anyways. Probably China is the most one I haven't been to for obvious reasons. But yeah, basically we've got a footprint all over the world, bar north and south poles. 100 lines of distinct equipment. So yeah, we make lots of different products for lots of different. But this is probably the one we're most used to is the IAgrE, precision agriculture, combines, guidance, getting the most out of those machines. This is the road building a slide I talked about, which is big business. We bought that for about 5.5 billion. So that's really important to us, and there's a lot of good work. Construction equipment again, industry leading, hybrid technology, but a lot of investment into this over the years, really, really important to us. Forestry equipment again, #1 globally, big business. Engines, we make them obviously for all our own machines, and we also supply other equipment manufacturers, marine, coast guard, lots of places you wouldn't see generators, places like that you wouldn't see them for shows, gigs, concerts, all that kind of good stuff. This one really close to my heart. We produce a lot of turf equipment in North Carolina, Raleigh factory there, fantastic, that we produce all the golf equipment and the turf equipment up there in North America that we ship all over the world. We got our own bank. So as I said, we finance in over 50 countries worldwide. And then if we don't have our own bank in those countries, we've got a partner bank. So for example, in Ireland, we partner with the Bank of Ireland. And it's pretty much the same thing at the same rates you would get as dealing with John Deere Financial. So more than just tractors, changing the game, 8RX. So I apologize you didn't see these slides, but that's this tractor here. Really important to us, very disruptive. You know, if I look at our sales, the majority now of those tractors that would be wheeled in the past are now tracked machines. So that's big business for us and works very well. Customers love those machines because footprint is low and the damage to soil is minimal relative to wheels. So that's really important. Precision guidance, really important to us. This is probably the biggest disruptor we've had in the industry with what we can bring to the marketplace, how we manage data, how we pull data, how we utilize data, make prescription maps for it, all that kind of good stuff. So then the next year you only apply the fertilizer, the nutrients, etc., where you need them and where you want them. Self-driving technology, really important for efficiency, greater precision. Sprayers, we got up to, this is the slide I was talking to. So we just actually spray the weed here and not the actual plant. And that means that we save a whole load of herbicide, because in the past you would just, apply it all over, 100% all over the crops. But here we've got like 95% reduction. So you actually only apply to the weed, and that's done through photography and an ultra red technology, which is really, really important. I think this is the slide we were just getting up to, and then we got up to here. So that's what it should look like with our technology. Is those to me, that's pretty impressive. Those crops. And then what I wanted to talk about was our DNA. So our precision ag innovations, they permit farmers not only to be more productive, to feed a growing population, but to also safeguard, the soil, the water, the air. That's really important too, that we look after the environment in everything we do. And for us, innovation is everything that we do. So how we bring products to market. This guy here, you can see him. He's got the goggles on, and he's basically that's at a factory. What we've done is we've sent these goggles to our customers so they can do it from their kitchen. We then send them the data, or we send them the file, and then they can tell us if what needs to be changed with a cab, if the door is too narrow, too wide, too tall, too small, if the controls fall to hand easily, or if they're cumbersome. The seat positioning is really, really important. So we need to understand all that. And we do a lot of customer feedback events where we used to fly customers from all over the world to North America, to our European headquarters in Mannheim. Now we do it in the comfort of their own home. And if I'm honest, COVID has driven a lot of that, because we still want that kind of personal interaction where we can talk to the farmers one-on-one and truly understand their needs, their challenges, their problems, their wants. But in COVID, we've done this, and it's worked pretty well, I would say. I would say COVID has driven a lot of technology. It's driven a generation of people into technology that they probably wouldn't have gone down that road with had they had their own choice. But COVID has driven that, and that's probably one slight positive to COVID, if I'm honest. Next thing I wanted to talk about was the great challenge. We began this century with a really, really big challenge, that global agriculture would have to double its output by 2050 to meet the expanded or expected population growth. If you look at population growth, in 2000, the global population was just about 6 billion. In 2019, it was about 7.7 billion. So that's about 30% growth in population in less than 20 years. And by 2050, the United Nations, or the UN, expects the world's population to increase by another 2 billion. So that's roughly 9.7, 10 billion people will be on the planet. And all those folks, they need to be fed first and foremost, but they need clothing, they need shelter, they need infrastructure. And for 9.7 billion, that is going to be a monumental task by itself. And there will be some complications. And for one of them, the world's population is becoming more urbanized. It's the same amount of land for with even less water, and that's land that's for cultivation is probably close to its peak as we stand today, and that'll probably be getting less and less as the years go on. And in many places, the amount of fresh water is already considered scarce right around the globe. So that's a big challenge. That's a big challenge for us. So what's the answer? John Deere, we're a disruptor, we're an innovator, we're a leader. But how can farmers and foresters and construction engineers and turf specialists, and how can others do more with less? How can they be more productive and more efficient? And for us, it's about continual reinvention. It's about, making our products better, more efficient, more productive, more easier to use, to help customers meet their own challenges by us continually reinventing. And I say reinventing, this is a classic example of something that was reinvented. It's still a tractor, but we just put tracks on it, so it gets over the sticky, wet soil without causing damage. So you get better return on your crops, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. How do we do that? Well, for example, every day with John Deere, we invest about $4 million every working day. So today we'll invest $4 million, tomorrow $4 million, Wednesday $4 million, Thursday $4 million, even Friday $4 million. We'll invest. That's 20 million this week. We'll take a break on Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday next week again another 4 million. And that's just on R&D. That's just into products. That's nothing to do with capital infrastructure or our factories. That's about another $1.5 million a day we invest in our factories and our facilities right across the globe. Remember, we've got about 70 of them. So that's huge investment that we put into our products, but we need to do it because we always need to be at the top of our game. And if you look at the 100 different lines of products that we make, 4 million doesn't be long going every day, I can assure you. So, but we're doing it to help customers meet the world's growing needs for products. So looking to the future, so what I want to talk about here is some examples of how that money has been invested and the products that we're bringing to the marketplace. And I like to think of John Deere as a smart organization. Jackie and Cyril will know about that. Smart. They drilled it into me when I was in college, but it's really important that we are smart and we use smart technology to be a global player. And so one example of that is crop care, is how we apply herbicides to crops. And if I look at this slide, for example, we've got what we call fully featured smart nozzle system, and this is really important. So we've got 4 or 6 nozzles with a rotating turret, so they can be switched on by solenoids or by integrated controller. We've got remote control access for calibration or for testing, LED lighting if needed. In the dark, so we can see what we're doing, so we can work 24/7. We can use automatic and manual sections, so we can have each nozzle coming on depending on where they are, so we don't double dose. We don't apply the same crops, especially when we're coming into shortings or when we're coming into land that has been worked and sprayed already. So that means we don't double dose. You got pulse width modulation depending on the crop, so you can have a fixed spray pressure for consistent droplet size at different varying flow rates. So that's really important. When we turn at the headland or when the machine turns at the headland, we have compensation. So even when the boom is speeding up or slowing down as it turns from the center pivotal axis, we apply or reduce the amount of pressure so the droplet size is consistent even on boom turning at headlands. We've got very wide flow and speed range, which is really important again. So we give that customer the versatility for the different crops they might be using. And we've got a plus or minus 25% flow on 4 nozzles across the boom. So we can reduce on every 4 nozzles, we can reduce plus or minus the flow rate on those nozzles by 25%, which is really important. So that's just one example. And this is another one, See and Select Spray. So this is a green on brown solution for farrow. So this is where we can actually look at what we're spraying, and the machine itself will identify if it's a weed, if it's a crop, if it needs to apply herbicide or not, and it will apply the exact amount on that. And this is operational up to 19 kilometers an hour on 36-meter booms. Now, if anyone's on the call and they've ever utilized their work to sprayer, that is a serious speed to be working at that accuracy. A 20k 36-meter booms. Just when you go home this evening in your car, go at 20k and see how fast that is, and then just imagine you in a field spraying crops. it's absolutely unbelievable. And you know, that can reduce herbicide cost reduction in certain cases by 77%. So that's really, really important. Another thing we can do, which is really interesting going forward, is we can apply multiple different products in a single pass. So you can have one part of the sprayer putting on one spray and another part putting on a different spray on one pass. So you've got less rotations or less sprayings to do in a season, which of course is very, very important. And then the other thing we've done is we've made our booms much, much lighter. So, you know, the heaviest part of a sprayer is the boom, and we've made aluminium booms. We've used all sorts of different composites to make very strong but lightweight booms to make sure that we don't damage the soil too much. So those are just some examples of spray. Now, what I have next is I should have a video should come up just to maybe explain some more technology. Tell me if this works.
Yeah, that's coming up there. Perfect.
So big changes in farming. If you look at what we're all probably used to growing up on farms and seeing to what this can do, it's massive strides in terms of technology. So that's that one. Then what I wanted to share next was I wanted to talk about precision guidance, and I've actually got another good video here that can probably explain that better than I can. So I'll just play that one. Hopefully it comes up.
That's coming up as well there, Brian.
And all these videos, I'll share the presentation, Chris, with you at the end, or you can share it with your members. I do apologize. I don't know what happened. I wasn't sharing at the start.
That's no problem.
The deck and the video is no problem.
That's much appreciated. Yeah, I can share it out there. Perfect.
So, you know, these tractors now, these cabs have got about 1 million lines of code. So it's a lot of technology in the cabs, in the tractors. It's serious information, serious processing power that they have to make in-field decisions in time. That's that one. And then probably this is the last video, and then we're nearly there. This is what we call EIVT. So this is a new disruptive transmission that we're bringing to the marketplace very shortly on our 8000 series of tractors. So I'll share that video, and this is a good one. Auto e-power. So you can see the difference there straight away. With wheel slip, with and without. That won a gold medal at the 2019 Agritechnica, which is the Oscars effectively for farm machinery, I guess. So that's that one. And then industry trends. So electrification, it's just not about using batteries as the power source. It's all about automation to autonomy. So, you know, automation is the machine going up and down the field all day, every day, and going over 20 yards every time. Autonomy is the machine actually understanding that it needs to change, it needs to adapt, it needs to apply different pressures, speed up, slow down. And we call it A to A, and that's really, really important. And we're putting a lot of time and investment into that to make sure we get the best out of our machines and make it more productive and efficient for our customers to use. Electrification is really, really important. So there will be a day when you can actually have your tractor will be actually powering some implements in your house or some attachments or whatever in your house, so you can use it as an off-boarding source of energy. Because of course you can actually, instead of just producing electricity or using it up, you can actually produce it and gain it back and store it in your tractor, which is really, really important and will be used in the future going forwards. And then artificial intelligence, again, as I said earlier, really, really important. It's, you know, it's bringing these machines to life. It's always developing, getting the best out of them. We actually have machines on golf courses now that will leave the maintenance shed, will take a particular route, will cut the fairways, will cut the greens, will cut the tees, and then they will come back a different route. They'll know who's on the golf course, what tee times are booked in. They can do it in the dark, and they will take a different path every day. So they're not taking the same path, so they don't have wear and tear on the course itself. So that's the level of technology you're up to. That's much easier to do, of course, in a golf course where you've got a defined kind of boundary and a defined space. Much more difficult in a farmyard where you might have to go on the road to get from field A to field B. That's a bigger challenge, but something we're up to and putting a lot of time and effort into it as we speak. So Chris, in the interest of safety or time, I will just my last slide is this is one tractor that we launched at Agritechnica in 2019. I was actually there myself. So it's a fully electric tractor. It's about 25 horsepower. It's a 1RE, and this is something that we're hoping to expand and move up to the horsepower categories in the coming years ahead. But very, very exciting times. And you can see there it's got the new what we call IDL, in industry design language. Current to today's 8,000, 6,000, 7,000 series of tractors. So
there are a few quick questions there, Brian. Are you okay to summarize some?
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely no problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
So the first one there was on the electrical powered vehicles, obviously, or EV versus hydrostatic powered machines, and it was from Michael. And Michael was inquiring as to the efficiencies of the electrical actuated machines over hydraulic or hydrostatic powered machines.
Well, there's two things. So one is hydrostatic and one is hydraulic. So let me answer it in two parts. So the first part is the technology and the advancements have come on leaps and bounds in the last couple of years. So for example, where you would use electric would be in light applications like sprayers, where in the past you would need a PTO to drive the pump on a sprayer. Now you can use it with electrification and get much more accurate readings. So you can stop it straight, you can stop it much faster and a much more accurate. The same with, for example, fertilizer spreaders, those type of light applications. for sure is a big game changer and improves the accuracy. When it comes to hydrostatic, like you have seen there on the 8R or the E auto power, that's where you're using both, and it's early days, but the feedback we're getting is really positive. And it might be 20, 30, 40% where it's taken the pressure off what we would call traditional power source and helping that out, and that seems to work very well.
Very good. Cahill had a quick question there as well, maybe not such a quick question, or not such a fast answer, in relation to how undergraduates or graduate students could go about getting employment in John Deere.
Yeah, for me, that's an easy one. If I would say, we're actually looking for someone at the moment. We're looking for a TCSM, a Territory Customer Support Manager for Ireland. And the advert has been out for weeks now, and I don't think many people have applied from Ireland. And I struggle to understand why, because the job is actually based in Ireland. So you'd be based in Ireland and looking after the whole island of Ireland from a technical or a service point of view. But we're always looking for good talent. I would say it's probably the biggest challenge facing the industry is talent, and to getting young undergraduates into the industry. That seems to be a real challenge, not just for us, but for all of the mainline manufacturers in agriculture and in general. So you have your qualifications. For me, all I did was I worked in the industry. I got experience. I'm no smarter than anybody else. In fact, there's a lot of smarter people in the class than me going to Tralee, but I guess I just put my head down. I worked pretty hard. I kind of went through the different stages pretty fast. But yeah, it's hard work and a good attitude. I always say, if you've got a good attitude and willing to work hard, we can send you to the moon. But you got to be willing to go to the moon. There's lots of opportunities. Absolutely no reason why anybody from IT Tralee can't do the same as me or even better and go on to bigger and better things. Lots of opportunities, not just from John Deere, but from New Holland, Case, AGCO, Fence, Class, Kubota, Governorland. They're all looking for good people. Get your qualifications, work hard, get good experiences on your CV, relevant to the industry, and apply for positions. That would be my advice.
I think that might have covered as well Katrina's question there. Katrina's question was, do you think having a level 8 degree in agri-engineering would make it easier to get a job towards, or we'll say instead of a level 7? So maybe quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So my counsel there would be a level 8 is very good. So a level 7 will get you a job. We've got people working for John Deere with no degrees or no qualifications. So that's not a problem. The challenge you'll find is as you go up through the company will look for, to make sure they've got the right people in the right positions. And if you have a degree, level 8, and another person has a level 7, and the two people are going for a high position, more likely than not, the level 8 will have a slightly better chance of getting it. So entry level, not a problem, but as you move up to the company, it will become more of a challenge, I would suggest. And now what I would say is if you join with Deere and you have a level 7, Deere have offered me numerous times if I want to do an MBA or to further my education, and they'll pay for it and support me along that path. So I would say the hardest part is getting in, and once you get in, the world is your oyster. And but for sure, aim for the stars and go for level 8 is what I would say. Once you have it, they can never take it off you, and you'll always have it in your back pocket. So entry level, not a problem. As you move up to the company, becomes more of a challenge, I would say.
There was one final question there then, which was from Ori. It's a very divisive issue. I suppose it's more related to North America, and that's right to repair. Now, it's not just, I suppose, specific to John Deere. And it's a difficult question for you to answer, being from John Deere yourself. I might rephrase it are there any serious issues around that in Europe?
Not that I'm aware of, but
Okay.
if I'm totally honest, and I'm not as up to speed as I should be on that, if I'm honest,
Yeah,
because it hasn't come to Europe. I see on social media and other sources it's a topic in North America, but as far as I'm aware, it's not an issue in Europe.
and of course as well, Brian, you know, it's not just cut and dried or black and white. There's always two sides, and voiding of warranty and product liability and litigation going forward, etc. There's always a way more than just the right to be able to tear into a machine, whether you have a qualification or not,
Yeah.
or not be able to do it. So it's
But
not.
it's a good question. It's a very good question. Very good question.
Yeah. Okay, then I would sincerely like to thank you on behalf of the Institute of Agricultural Engineers for the ROI branch for taking the time out, okay, and giving us such a very, very informative presentation on your own background and your honesty and the way you shared with us, first and foremost, Brian, and secondly, the market, and finally, the innovative technologies that are coming on stream now and into the future. And I just hope that some students who are attending this particular webinar or presentation today may consider John Deere as a potential employer going forward.
Yeah, for sure. As I said, we're always looking for talent, and it's frustrating for me that we don't get more applications, or we don't get for certain jobs, and not just for the UK, but for Germany or for other places around the world. We're always looking for talent, definitely. So just put yourself out there and apply. The worst that can happen is these companies say no. I was said, C&H told me no, and I kept going for it. So yeah, just put yourself out there.
Brian, thanks again so much for everything.